I can't put into words how excited I am to be back for another season of providing college football content. For those of you that are listening for the first time, welcome to my channel. For those of you that are mainly active on this channel during the football season, it is great to have you back for another season. And for those of you that are regular viewers of this channel, it is great to have you here as always. Now, college football begins this weekend with week 0. And we only have about, I believe it's 5 or 6 games this week. So we're not getting the full taste of college football yet. But I think we're in for a very exciting week 0. I mean, we have a historic blue blood playing this week in week 0, and that is Nebraska. Nebraska and Illinois, that's a really good matchup, I believe, as well as Hawaii and UCLA. So without further ado, let's get into the week 0 predictions. Now I'm going to predict 4 of the games this week, because for the Southern Utah and San Jose State game, there's no spread for that. So I'm just going to pick the 4 games that are against the spread this week. Now, I don't usually do spread picks that often. I'll still provide who I think is going to win outright, but I'll also add in the spread as well. I mean, I have done spread picks in the past, but I don't really do them as often anymore as I did in the past. But I'm doing this for this week because I've had this requested a couple of times. So the first game I have is Yukon and Fresno State. Now, the line has Fresno State as a 27.5 point favorite, which is a pretty big spread. But I am confident that Fresno State can at least win by 28 points. Considering that Connecticut, they didn't play at all in 2020, so there's a lot of uncertainties for their program. So I do like Fresno State to cover that 27.5 point spread, but it wouldn't surprise me at the same time if they didn't, because this could be one of those situations where Fresno State has a very significant lead late in that fourth quarter and they start to rest starters. Considering they play Oregon the next week, it wouldn't surprise if we saw something like that. But hopefully Fresno State can still win by at least 28. And that's what I think will happen. The next game is UTEP and New Mexico State. And currently the line is UTEP at -10. New Mexico State, I'd say they are in a similar situation than Yukon is. Although you can say it's the same thing considering New Mexico State also didn't play at all in 2020. But Mexico State did play a couple games earlier this spring. So at least there could be some answers as far as some uncertainties within that program, as far as what their plan is moving forward with this season. But I have confidence that UTEP will win this game and cover the 10-point spread. I believe last night the line was at 9 or 9.5. So this spread has gone up within the last 24 hours, and it's possible that the spread could go up or down before the game on Saturday. But the current line, UTEP -10, that is the pick out of the 4 that I am the most confident in. So I would feel pretty safe going with UTEP at -10. Moving on now to the 2 biggest games of the week, Hawaii and UCLA. Now, in this matchup, I am excited to see the quarterback battle here. We've got Siobhan Cordero for Hawaii and Dorian Thompson-Robinson for UCLA. And what's special to me about this quarterback matchup is I think these are 2 of the most underrated and underappreciated quarterbacks in college football. So a big key to this matchup, something that was really interesting that I was reading in an Athlon Sports magazine earlier in the offseason, was that Hawaii looks to put points on the board because they don't have that good of a defense. What makes that interesting is both these teams are returning 10 of their 11 defensive starters from last season. And these two ranked 68th and 69th in total defense in 2020. So that is interesting to know. Although I would say that UCLA, I'd say they have the more talented defense than Hawaii. I mean, that would make sense considering UCLA is a Power 5 conference. Now, currently the line is UCLA at minus 18. So I think UCLA wins this game, but I think Hawaii is going to make this a game. I think Hawaii's offense, I think they can make this a game, and I think that this game can turn into a shootout. Besides, Hawaii they have pretty decently positive history against the Pac-12 in recent memory. Plus, Hawaii coach Todd Graham has experience with Pac-12 defenses as he did coach Arizona State at one point. As far as Chip Kelly, perhaps he's on the hot seat coming into 2021. But the one thing about UCLA is, even though you can say they had a bad season last year, all 4 of their losses last year were by less than 6 points. So they're not losing terribly. They're not getting blown out. And I think a win by UCLA here would provide confidence going into the rest of the season, and possibly save Chip Kelly's job. But another reason why I do want to point out that I think Hawaii will beat the 18-point spread is because I could see UCLA resting starters in the fourth quarter if they have a big of enough lead, considering UCLA plays LSU next week. And last thing you want is to have an injury heading into that game and knowing that you could have prevented that by resting the starters with a big enough lead. So I think that's another reason why Hawaii, I think, will beat this 18-point spread. The final game of Week 0, Nebraska and Illinois. This is going to be the game that gets played first, but I wanted to save what I thought was the best game of the week for last. So currently the line is Nebraska at -7. There are questions, once again, for Nebraska coming into another season. Year 4 under Scott Frost. The fans are anticipating that the program can finally take that next step to becoming relevant again in college football. A big question is, can Adrian Martinez finally get back to his full potential? Can we see that late freshman season Adrian Martinez get back to form? And I think a big reason why he had such a big run at the end of his freshman season as far as reaching his full potential is because of the talent that was surrounding him. And now they have talent of Samari Toure and Omar Manning, who have been getting a lot of hype during this offseason. Some fans say that this is the most talent that Adrian Martinez has had in his career at Nebraska. And I have seen others say that this could potentially be the most talented team Nebraska has had in quite some time. Now, who will be the starting running back for the Huskers? That is a question that is yet to be answered. If I had to guess, it would be USC transfer Marquise Stepp, although Gabe Ervin has really possibly been rumored as a candidate for RB1 for the Huskers, unless they want to do a 1-2 punch. But I would lean towards Stepp getting the majority of the carry since he is more experienced as far as college football reps is concerned. For Illinois, Brett Bielema, first game as the Illinois head coach. New defensive coordinator Ryan Walters, who was the former defensive coordinator at Missouri. And in the 3 seasons he was their defensive coordinator. 82nd 115th and 66th in total defense. Illinois was 114th in total defense in 2020. Now, one thing that will stick out to me in deciding a winner in this game: can Nebraska's defense stop the run this time? Because last season, Mike Epstein and Chase Brown, against the Huskers, they combined for 39 carries, 223 yards, and 3 touchdowns in that 41-23 win. Another thing, Nebraska in the game last year turned the ball over 5 times while Illinois played clean football. And I also want to add in Brandon Peters, the quarterback for Illinois. I'd say, like Cordero and Thompson Robinson, I'd put Brandon Peters a part of the list as the most underrated quarterbacks in college football. Now, I've seen Husker fans talk about they're going to beat Illinois by at least 20. They're going to win by at least 25. I think the most the Huskers will win by in this game is 14. And the reason why is because the last few seasons we have had Nebraska come in with a lot of hype going into it, thinking that this would be the season where Nebraska would take the next step as far as advancing their program to get back into the thick of things as far as a blue blood in college football. Especially in 2019, there was a lot of hype, and they only beat South Alabama by 14 points, and their defense carried them in that first game. I think if Nebraska can just play clean football, don't turn the football over 5 times again, I think Nebraska can win this game. Well, I think they will. But I'll pick Nebraska to win this one. I'm going to say by about 14 points. Kind of just as I was saying. I'm not completely sold on Nebraska yet, but if they can start the season 3-0, heading into the Sooners game, then we can really see how good this Nebraska team really can be this season. And another factor in my prediction of Nebraska winning this game is I believe Nebraska is 14-0 in the month of August. So history's on my side in that one, although it has probably been a while since Nebraska's played in August. I'm not quite sure about that. Someone could probably tell me in the comment section. But those are my predictions for week 0. Like, share, and subscribe. And I will talk to you next time.